Yeah, Coach, you're a new face, and you got a lot of new faces out there. Just how has it been these last few months?
Before we get started, my voice is a little gone. It was third down day, and we're getting after it in the secondary. So this is a good thing. Whether my voice is hoarse, that's a positive thing. But it's been a blessing. It's been a crazy ride coming from Seattle, coming to Arkansas. But we started with a bang. We have a good group of guys. We're competing. I love the upward trending that we're doing on defense, and we're going to be a lot better.
Some of the new guys that you have, like Julian Neal, I guess. I'm trying to think if there's anybody else that's joined you late since the spring. But what has Julian brought to the table? And I guess, well, you didn't have Jordan Young because he was injured, and Kenai was a little beat up in the spring. So how have those guys come along?
All the new additions have been a breath of fresh air. Julian brings experience. Obviously, he brings size, speed, and we all seen him out there. The guy can play. And Jordan Young, he played a lot of ball in Cincinnati, and he's bringing that experience with him as well. A lot of these guys that we've added, even Kenai Walker, even added in the freshman Razorbacks, the biggest thing for them, we have flexibility now. We have a lot of depth. The guys that can play man-to-man coverage, guys that can be physical in the run game, and guys that can take the ball away. And that's the emphasis we're putting on them this camp and in the spring and over the summer. We got to get more takeaways, and we've been doing that thus far.
You mentioned the size, and that's something that Sam really stressed with us, how he was excited about the added height, weight in the cornerback room. I'm just curious, where, other than guarding receivers one-on-one, how other ways that really makes a positive impact for the secondary?
It makes a positive impact because it allows you to play with more length. You have more opportunity to get your hands on balls. You get more tip balls. You got safeties that can fit in the run game. You have corners that can fit in the run game as well. So being able to utilize size and including with speed as well is always a plus. It's always a plus when I can go into the huddle and not have to look up at my players rather than looking down. I feel a lot better going on the field with that.
Sam spoke in SEC Media Days about wanting to maybe blitz a little bit more this fall. As a secondary coach, is that nerve-wracking? Is that exciting when you hear maybe a little bit more blitzing this season?
No, at all. There's no bigger respect than when the play caller can call a blitz and he has confidence in our secondary. We want to be aggressive. We want to be, bring the fight to them. We want to get in their faces, and we want to challenge and contest everything. And that's something that we're going to bring to the table. And I believe we have the guys that can do that. So, yes, attacking, blitzing, anything that the play caller wants to do, we're ready for it.
Selman just looks so much comfortable, compared to where he was last year as a freshman. How have you seen him take strides, even from the time you arrived and maybe over the summer to where he is now?
It takes time, especially in this conference, to learn what you're doing. Coming from high school to college as a freshman, you have time. You have to learn the playbook. You have to, get bigger, stronger, faster in the weight room. And I think he's just putting everything together. The talent is always there. Now he's playing with more confidence. I tell these guys, you have to find your own style. And he's finding his style. He's hitting his stride. And just like everybody else, we are, as a unit, we are trending upwards.
You mentioned there's been takeaways in team periods. So what's the blend maybe between picks and ripping the ball out? And I'm sure you chart them. Mm-hmm. Have you got some interception leaders early in camp?
That's a good question. We have a lot of the safeties are doing a great job. The corners, we can do a lot better in that category. But we're getting our hands on the balls, and that's always a positive. Now we have to have the confidence and the savviness to feel comfortable playing the ball in the air, or making those contested catches. And we're working that every day, and we're going to continue to drill that.
What compelled you? I mean, you had a background in the NFL as well. What compelled you to come back into college ball here?
To me, this is a premier program. I played football in this conference. I remember coming here in 2010 and Arkansas coming back in 2011. I was here for the 2014 game. This place is a hard place to play at. The fans love it. The atmosphere is crazy. So it was a no-brainer. When I got the call from Coach T. Will and Coach Pittman, my wife couldn't pack our bags fast enough. We're back down south. We get to wear the crimson, so I'm ready to roll.
You mentioned the 2010 game. Some people say those first two plays on offense, Arkansas had a wheel route to Wingo and a curious right on crossing route, with Trino calling the plays. That might be the loudest the stadium's ever been, certainly ranked among that. What do you recall from the 2010 game?
Pig suey. Pig suey. I don't think I had pork for the next 2 months after that game. It was a wild atmosphere, and once again, coming in Arkansas, we're throwing the first punch, and they did that. And we knew going in, we always respected Arkansas, and knowing that they're going to play hard, it's going to be tough. This is a tough place to play at. And with the fans there, with the pig suey, it can get a little wild.
Coach, on the opposite end of Julian and Selman, Kanai, there's Keyshawn Davila, who's not that big. Talk about how he's doing.
I have one word. He's a dog. He's a pit bull out there, and he has something to prove. And once again, that is another guy that has a flexibility where we can use him in different places. We have guys that everybody has a unique skill set, and we're being creative in the way that we're going to get these guys on the field.
Selman Bridges is a kid that, I think before you got here, he entered the portal, but then he came back soon thereafter. But I've never seen a kid that went in the portal come back, recruit every weekend like he does. He hosts recruits every weekend, and every single one of them praises him. Just, is there been a complete attitude change among Selman, or what?
No, I just think, in this day and age, when guys are exploring their options, I think it's just curiosity at the same time. And he's always been bought into the program, and he's still doing his thing now, and I'm glad he stayed. He's definitely a player that we can use, and I'm excited for his future.
Sam has talked a lot about the importance of finding your cornerbacks first before you fill out the other positions. I think Julian's had that spot at left locked up movement with Kanai and Selman. What has stood out to you about that battle?
Really, it's really open. We're all competing. It's only been day 5, guys. We added some guys, and this is a good problem to have. We have some guys that we are all competing. They're all making each other better. We're only as good as our weakest link. And right now we have none. So whoever marches out there on the first game, they're going to be ready.
And then Larry, I think Larry and Miguel were rotating at Hog toward the end of the spring, and Jordan Young has had that position locked up. I mean, what's his future look like at Hog from right now?
Once again, that is another great question. We have a lot of guys that can play a lot of positions, as you can tell. Larry can play Hog. Jordan Young can play Hog. We have a lot of other guys that can play that Hog position. And so it's all about finding your pieces in different situations. We can use them. If it's a 12 personnel, whatever it is, passing situations, we have to get the best 11 guys on the field. And so we're just trying to utilize our roster to the best of our ability.
Back in the spring, Travis Williams said that your experience helping coach receivers for a little bit in the NFL was something that stood out about you. Just what was that experience like, and what do you feel like you learned from it?
It was tough. Learn being on offense for a year is eye-opening. Usually when you're coaching a position, you see your 11 guys on your respective side of the football. When I went to offense, I was able to see all 22 at that point. And so learning how it's like a puzzle, learning how the pieces fit, and then learning what receivers like to do, because I've been in those meeting rooms, I coached it, and then now I'm like a double agent. Now I'm saying, okay, this is what they're trying to do. This is how we can attack them. We play defense for a living, and at cornerback, we always want to take the fight to them. I don't want to play defense for 60 minutes. I want to play a little offense. That's fun as well.
We've like talking to Marcus, his communication skills seem to be pretty strong. What's your relationship with Marcus like back there?
Man, he's very wise. He's been around the block. He's coached at numerous places, and he brings a lot of wisdom and experience. And I just love when he speaks. When he speaks, everybody listens. And I learn a lot from him as I go along the way. And he brings a certain calmness to the room and to the secondary. So Coach Woodson has been fantastic to me, been fantastic to the players, and we're definitely getting the best version of Marcus Woodson.
You've had to prepare for Petrino offenses, at least in 2010 and 11, maybe some other games, but what kind of hallmarks, what kind of things do you see out of Petrino offense that make it tough?
It's whatever the flavor of the week is. He's very creative, he's very unique, and I think that is why he's one of the brightest offensive minds in football, and everybody has respect for Coach Petrino, and, he's going to dial him up. We see it every single day, so it's strap it up and let's go.
Coach, some people are concerned that, with Andrew Armstrong going to pros, 78 catches, then so many, like the top 9 receivers are all gone from last year, but what have you seen from receivers, and what can you tell people who are worried about the receiver room? You go against those guys every day, and
we're out there pushing each other. Like we said we have a lot of big corners. We have a lot of speed, on the offense, and so they're making it hard for us. you know, if you come to any of the practices, they're doing their thing as well, and it's back and forth.
Speaking of size, Antonio Jordan, what were your thoughts against him? On Antonio.
Just like a lot of players we did a great job of recruiting. You know, we brought in some guys that I believe can really help this team, you know, whether now or in the future. So I think the future is always bright for Jordan.
Anybody in particular giving you guys fits at wide receiver?
A different guy shows up, you know, is what it is. They're very, very, very unique in how they use these guys. So, you know, it just depends. You know, each guy is doing their thing and making plays, and, you know, we can't take any off plays out there.
Obviously, you got a lot of competition going for it, but there is the possibility that you could go 6'4", 226 at one safety and 6'1", 222. That's a couple big safety. That's kind of like an old world look.
Yeah. I mean, it's throwback football, you know, and whenever we have size out there and we have speed that can keep up, that's going to make it hard for offenses. You know, they're going to have to game plan us as well.
Looks like, I mean, this isn't always how it is, but generally, like, defensive line subs more than linebackers sub more than defensive backs in games and stuff. Is that going to be difficult for you, or is there a scenario where guys play a lot, just kind of even, or are you looking for your top five?
Well, you know, just like an NFL roster, usually you can play with up to 8 to 9 guys. So we tell the players, make it hard for us to not play you. You know, everybody is a starter, and everybody can find their own way on the field. And if everybody takes control of their job, they'll have a seat on the bus. So, you know, whether we have 4 or 5 guys or we can have 8 guys out there that can all rotate, that'll be a blessing for us right there.
Kirby Smart was your defensive coordinator in Alabama, right? All 4 years?
DB coach, defensive coordinator, along as Nick Saban and Jeremy Pruitt. So, yeah, I had a woozy there.
Obviously, Kirby and Sam worked together. Did you call Coach Smart at all before accepting this job? Any research with maybe some past connections before coming here?
No, I did not. I just knew that, you know, Coach Pittman and Kirby worked together in the past, and I knew it would be a very similar experience as well from my experience down in Alabama. So I knew it was going to be structured, stern at the same time, and you know the way that they lead the players and what they demand from the team was going to be very similar and unique at the same time.
Coach Saban's obviously a secondary guy. Any pillars from learning from him that you're trying to carry over here into your coaching career now?
Yes, enjoy the process. You know, this is fun. This is the best time of their lives as well. You know, at the end of the day, they get to continue playing the game that they love, that they've been playing since they were a kid. So it can be very business-like at times, but keep the main thing to maintain is playing football is fun. And so if you don't look at it as a job, you don't look like, oh, I have to be here. Look at it as you're playing a sport that you love. You get to go to work every day and play football. I get to go to work every day and coach football. What's better than that?
You've touched on your experiences in the NFL a little bit already, but were there any lessons, experiences from your time coaching in the NFL that you've taken here now that you're trying to implement at Arkansas?
Just the details. You know, you always want to coach your players, but you can't let anything slide. You can't fall in love with the result. You want to be able to coach your guys and coach them for the next play. So even though they got an interception, a pass breakup, a forced fumble, there was another coaching point before that. Because next time, it could be that 1 out of 10 times, it could have been a negative play and bad for the Hogs. So continue to coach for the next play. That's one of the biggest things I learned as, for myself for coaching in the NFL, because they will expose that.
Nick, what is the challenge or maybe the balance just in roster building whenever you have so much size, but at the same time, you can't sacrifice the speed in this conference?
To me, it all goes back to recruiting, and the portal and who the guys are getting. What kind of defense do you want to run? You're going to be more of a zone defense. You're going to be more of a man, press, quarters, cover 3. It's different variations. And so you have to also find the players that can fit your system or make your system fit your players. And so I think, Coach T. Will has done a great job of being very open-minded and flexible and being very unique to the roster that he does have. And so I'm excited to see what we do this year.
Given a little bit of time you spent on the other side of the ball, impressions of Taylon Green, his development, how much better he can make the defense in practice?
He can affect the game in multiple ways. You have to account for him in anything you do. And he's a big guy. He can see the field. He can make every throw on the field. and he can run. And so I think we're always in the game when we have him on the field.
I know we've asked a few times about guys who, don't maybe have their roles yet, but is there anything that you've seen from Kanai Walker and what he could maybe look like heading into the season?
Man, Kanai is high energy, high motor, all day, every day, and he brings the passion. He brings the tempo, and he has been a difference maker thus far for us as far as the impacting on the field. And so I'm excited to see how we can use him in his experience, because he's played a lot of football too. And so this is a good problem to have. Once again, we have a lot of guys that are competing and challenging to get on the field, and we're going to find a spot for everybody.
Coach, appreciate you.
All right.
Yeah.